Watch, cop-hating protester refuses to let cars pass, fed-up driver has brutal surprise. Shocking footage has emerged out of St. Louis, Missouri, showing anti-police protests which broke out on Wednesday, June 7, 2017. Now, the graphic video of a fed-up driver who refused to take any more crap from an aggressive cop-hating protester is going viral. Watch as this liberal punk gets a brutal surprise, and rightfully so. The graphic clip starts off with protesters holding signs and blocking traffic at an intersection in St. Louis, Missouri, on Wednesday evening. As some of the protesters screamed, "Fuck the police," others used their bodies as human barriers to keep drivers from moving. Tensions quickly rose between one particularly fed-up driver and a woman blocking the street, and then, the inevitable happened. The driver in the clip first tells the woman to get out of the street. The woman's only response is to taunt the driver and wag her finger toward the windshield. The passenger of the vehicle leans out and begins to yell at the protester before going back inside the vehicle. At that point, the driver has had enough and starts slowly moving forward. This only provokes more protesters to advance on the car, probably frightening the occupants of the vehicle even further. A moment later, the driver steps on the gas and runs the pesky protester over, and rightfully so. According to local news source News 4, a crowd of protesters filled the intersection of Chippewa and Kings Highway in South St. Louis to disrupt traffic after members of SWAT tried to serve a search warrant and got into a shootout with the suspect who was killed after firing at officers. The dead suspect has been identified as 21-year-old Isaiah Hammett, according to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Dennis Torres, Hammett's grandfather, who spoke with News, said, "A bunch of shots were going on. My grandson was trying to protect me on the floor. He went into the dining room, then I hear screaming and I see my grandson lying dead on the dining room floor." Hammett was reportedly firing at officers with an AK-47 rifle. Late Wednesday evening, friends and family of Hammett began to protest while holding signs that read, "Justice for Isaiah." Some of those protesting told News 4 that Hammett would have never shot at police. This sounds very reminiscent of the hands-up don't shoot falsehood that the media tried to push prior to the riots in Ferguson, Missouri, in 2014. He's been taking care of his grandfather since he was 16 years old, and he threw his grandfather on the floor, and when he thought somebody was kicking in the door, he didn't know it was the police, Hammett's grandmother, Dawn Atwell, said. He went and took his grandfather and put him on the floor to be safe and then goes in there, and next thing you know, he's dead. According to police, no officers were hurt during the shootout. There has to be a point where people start taking responsibility for their own actions. This idea is completely foreign to liberals who would rather blame anyone other than the individual responsible for creating their own circumstances. As for the stubborn cop-hating protester, she is probably rethinking her own decision to block traffic and threaten motorists. Please share the story and tell us what you think by clicking one of the buttons below. We want to hear your voice.